Hello, everybody. My name is Jenny Morris, and I am with the Autism Support of Alabama. Thank you all for joining us today. We have Miss Sarah Bailey with the RAN out of Huntsville at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. We are happy to have her today. This meeting came about in a phone conversation that I had with Sarah. As an autism parent myself, we are always looking for where do we find the next thing that we need to find? And, it just gets so hard to find it, and you just get into a rabbit hole. So we wanted to share with you all some resources that we have. And always, you can reach out to ASA for resources and reach out to RAN. But we would like to share some of those resources with you and how to get where you need to go quicker. So anyway, at this point, I will introduce Sarah Bailey with the Regional Autism Network in Huntsville. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us. Your microphone is off, Sarah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to share where do I begin with finding resources. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so where do I begin? Finding resources affected by autism. I would like to thank Autism Support of Alabama for allowing me to present this topic and this information today. It's something that I'm pretty passionate about and that I work on almost every single day. All right, so to get the most out of this time that we have together, get ready to capture some links via QR codes. There are slides available through this webinar, and you can also email me if you need these directly delivered to your inbox. But having a phone available to capture QR codes is probably going to be the best way to benefit. If you don't use QR codes yet, not a problem. You'll get the webinar and you can click on links. First, I'm going to do a plug for our care survey. In Alabama, we know that all families at some point need help with finding care, whether it's child care, summer programs, after school care, respite service. We've only heard from less than half of the Alabama counties in Alabama, and we would like to end this survey in January. We've had it open for 6 months now. Your voice matters. We want to take the information that you provide to us to community leaders, state leaders, and ask them to help us provide more care and more options. And we can't ask without the data. So this is our data to be able to get that. I am going to put the care survey up again at the end of this presentation. But if you are with an agency, or if you're a parent that's active on social media, if you could share this with your networks, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, so at first, when you're trying to find resources, it can be a little bit like finding Waldo. You know something has to exist, but you're not sure where to look. But once you see the resource and once you get connected, you will find more support. One example I have of this is we had a very short list of people who do evaluations when I came on board here in 2023. Now, our area is growing. I'm in Huntsville. Lots of people are moving here. So we are getting more services almost every day. But I just recently worked on an upgrade to this list, and now it's 11 pages long just for evaluations and where I can get an evaluation. Part of that is because I've employed some of the strategies that I'm going to show you for finding resources. So once you get informed, if you can stay connected and stay informed with people like Autism Supports of Alabama, RAN, and the more local resources that are very geographically close to where you're located, you will be able to have plenty of opportunities and options for most areas. Okay, so we're going to start with some statewide general resources. And one of the best statewide general resources is calling 211. You can call 211 for help. They have all kinds of help with 211 because sometimes when you're parenting a person with autism, that can impact your ability to work, to advance in your career and other things, and you may need help outside of autism. So I wanted to start with 211. General, if you happen to be a provider, I suggest that you call 211 on occasion and make sure your resources are updated. If you have an annual list of things that you do, add that to your annual list as a provider. So the Medicaid provider directory is a directory for Alabama for all of the people who provide services for Medicaid. Sometimes directories like this can be a little bit difficult. You have to know a little bit of the lingo. You have to know like what kind of specialty you need. Sometimes figuring this part out can be difficult, especially if you're new to the field of autism. Alabama Family Central is a great resource that we're using statewide to be able to find answers for all types of things. So childcare, education, family services, health services. You can visit Alabama Family Central. I believe they also have a pretty good app. You can search by keyword, county, or zip code. This searching by zip code can be really beneficial because sometimes, especially if you're not located near a city central, searching by zip code can help you find adjacent services, which can often kind of open up things for you. All right, so good health starts with a healthy mind. This is a Little Orange Fish. Little Orange Fish has a lot of mental health resources on their website. And so I wanted to share that because we are going to be partnering with Little Orange Fish to make resources that we have more available to the community. So we've got some initiatives going on there. So watch for announcements on that in the coming months and years. Local providers to your area will often have a resource tab on their own web pages. So for instance, I've pictured here UCP of Huntsville and Tennessee Valley. They have an Explore Resources spot on their website, and they have a lot of resources on here. I just wanted to give you one example. I knew that they have a ton of resources. I utilize the resource list of other providers pretty regularly in helping families connect, especially locally. ADMS Autism Services is a program that's offered through the Alabama Department of Health. They offer intensive care coordination. Oftentimes when I get stuck and I'm not sure where to look for information for a family, I will call my regional intensive care coordination team, and they will have a resource that I did not know about. So this one's a little bit of a newer concept for a lot of people, but to find resources, you can ask ChatGPT. So I wanted to share with you kind of how I use ChatGPT to be able to find resources when I'm stuck. Just to share a little bit more about my job, one of the things that I do is I help people find resources. I connect a person's need to their resource. And sometimes if we're not finding exactly what we need, we have to get really creative to be able to help a family. So sometimes to help a professional as well. So with asking ChatGPT, what's important is the question that you ask. So in this instance, I gave qualifiers. I told them exactly the service I needed, how old the child is, and what type of insurance that the child has for coverage. And they gave me a lot of answers here. So I'm going to click through those. So I asked for an autism evaluation for a 4-year-old child with Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance. I asked for this because 25% of the questions that we get here in North Alabama is, where can I get an evaluation? So what's really interesting is it pulled up the option that's closest to me, which is the ARC of Madison County. And local practice here. It does give me guidance that I need to call to ask about the evaluation and the Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage. But there are a lot of options listed. So this can be a really great starting place. My favorite feature of using chat for things like this is chat will think of things that I did not think of. So for instance, ChatGPT is going to tell me some tips for scheduling and insurance. Oh, sometimes I need a referral from the pediatrician. So when I'm calling all these places, ask if they require a referral or not. Ask each clinic if they're in network, what kind of referral prior authorization is needed, and expected wait time. Lots of times people have wait lists. So what my second favorite part is, sometimes chat will suggest how else they can help me. So if you'd like, I can help you draft a call or script message to contact these providers. So in a subsequent message to ChatGPT, I can say, yes, please help me draft a call script or message. That helps me learn the lingo of what I need to do to have a great conversation with the provider that I'm calling to get information for, especially if it's something I'm not familiar with and I need to be able to learn the lingo pretty quickly for a specific type of service. Because the services we need sometimes are really varied and sometimes maybe slightly outside of my own knowledge and skill set. Okay, so we've talked about ChatGPT, but I want to back up. I want to say something else about chat. So one of the other things I really like about chat, and I did not include this in the slides because it gets a little bit interesting, is let's say that you are contemplating what you need and you're not sure, you can just open up a ChatGPT window and start asking it questions and have a conversation with chat. So perhaps your best friend that you've been talking to about your child's autism possibility is not really having that conversation with you anymore. You can have that conversation with ChatGPT. So let's say you're thinking about this in the middle of the night and you can't go to sleep and other people are all asleep and you don't really want to reach out and bug someone, but you really need to talk about it. ChatGPT can be your, I need to talk about this kind of friend. I have a friend who utilizes that, and I've learned that skill from her. So, if you have a topic regarding autism you want to talk about, and no one is available for you at that moment, or maybe you're just exploring things, ChatGPT is a really good way to do that. You do have to vet all the information you get from ChatGPT because it's just pulling information from the internet, and anyone can put information on the internet that they want. So you do need to verify the ChatGPT information. So that is my disclaimer. Okay, so the Regional Autism Network, where I work, is a really great support. We have 5 regional offices located at different universities. We can answer autism-related questions. We can connect you to resources, services, and information for all ages or developmental needs. A lot of people who are serving people with autism serve people with other developmental needs. So you do not have to have a diagnosis to get help from the Regional Autism Network. All of the services that we provide are generally free to families, and we offer some low-cost training to professionals, which I'll show you a little bit more about in just a moment. So since I work for the Autism Network, and since I know it's one of the best resources for people with autism in Alabama, we're going to dive into a little bit. So our university partners in Region 1 is UAH, Region 2 is Tuscaloosa, Region 3 is USA and Mobile, Region 4 is in Auburn, and Region 5 is at Birmingham. Each of these regions are staffed by different people who have different specialties. For example, I have a degree in early childhood special education. The person directing Region 5 is a speech pathologist. The faculty member directing Region 4 is a BCBA. The person directing Region 3 had a lot of experience in early intervention and working for other advocacy agencies, and I believe she used to work for ASA as well. Region 5, we have a BCBA. So based on our specialties, sometimes if I'm not finding what I need, I'll reach out to one of my counterparts. So even though you may be calling UAH, you're going to get the collective knowledge of the state because we stay pretty connected and informed. So we're a statewide collaboration. We're created by the Alabama Interagency Autism Coordinating Council. I'm going to share more with you about that in just a moment. We're funded by state legislation. and implemented by the Alabama Department of Health grant partnerships with state universities. So ran resources throughout the state because I want to make sure you can find the resources for the Regional Autism Network throughout the state. We are asked to be the resource and referral hub, and that is our mission and our goal for people with autism, all ages, and also professionals who need technical assistance and consultative services. So we technically serve everyone who lives in Alabama because most people interact with autism in some form professionally or personally. So this QR code here would take you to our resources that are throughout the state. And this is our web page. Our landing page for the state is on ADMH's website. Over here on the right-hand side, you have all of our phone numbers and a link to our websites. Those websites will have our email addresses on it. The flyer you saw with all of our faces is here. So if you need to print that off to share with somebody or share it with somebody who needs to know about RAN, you can do that. And then we have flyers for RAN in 3 languages here. Like I said, we're a legislative directive. You can read about the legislation here. So one of the things that we do is we recently created, we do a lot of events. And so we recently created a link to a calendar on one of our websites so that you can see the events that RAN is hosting throughout the state. And here is where that link is. And I'm going to show it to you a little bit more in just a moment on another slide. But I want to go ahead and work down this side of the page here. For educators, every summer we offer a summer series with the regional in-service centers, and then we record those. So if anyone's needing training or want some information, parent or professional, you can click on these videos and watch them on demand. So hopefully that's helpful. Everything else that RAN does and resources are pretty much going to be individually by region past this page. So let's click on and see what else we have. One of our regions, our region, hosts the upcoming events statewide. And so if you click this link or you go to this QR code, you will see a calendar that shows our events statewide. Most are via Zoom, and we're constantly adding new events. Some events are in Spanish or interpretation is offered, and we really appreciate it if you RSVP. I'm going to try to click on this link and head to that website now. Let's see if it works. It did work. Oh, it didn't work. I can find it quickly. So that link isn't working. We'll update that. Okay, here is the state RAN website calendar. So as you can see, we already have some things planned for January and February, March and April. UAB does a lot of lunch and learns. UAH is going to focus on mid-morning meetings in 2026. All of the other RAN regions will add their events as they come up. But here's what we've got so far for 2026. You can go to this calendar anytime you like and see what is going on. I'm going to click back to our presentation here. Okay. I shared with you the training for teachers and caregivers, the summer series for educators by the regional in-service centers when we were looking at that RAN website. Here's a QR code to get back there and another link to the state website. So because I am in Region 1, I'm far more familiar with the resources in Region 1. So I apologize for people from other parts of the state. But if it exists in Region 1, you may find it in your region as well. So I'm going to share with you a few ways that you can connect with RAN to find resources in Region 1. We serve these 13 North Alabama counties of Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin, Lawrence, Limestone, Madison, Jackson, Morgan, Coleman, Marshall, DeKalb, Etowah, and Cherokee. So we have a new website. We were just on it looking at the calendar, and it has the events, it has the calendar, it has evaluation matrix, support groups, research studies, sensory-friendly activities. And we launched this in 2025, so it's pretty new. We've been a little quiet about it initially. It's kind of like a soft launch, but we're going to go over to that website and kind of look at it a little bit. So I want to make sure you can find those features. So we were just on the calendars page, and we were looking at the statewide RAN calendar. In addition to that, we have a North Alabama calendar. So if there is an autism community event, an event that's inclusive, people are welcome to submit those to me. We're a little bit toward the end of the year, so right now we only have these 2 events showing right now for future events. So there's an Every Piece Matters Santa Night and Bake Sale and a Sensory Friendly Nights of Santa at Early Works coming up. So we have this specific for North Alabama that we've just launched. We're starting to build. We have the statewide RAN calendar that we saw earlier. Other resources we have are our evaluation matrix, links to learn online, Medicaid services, which you guys have seen that flyer already in this presentation, research studies, sensory-friendly events, North Alabama support groups, and then our blog, our newsletter, and our links. We're still working on these bottom 3 things, but we're getting them built out pretty quickly. So I'm going to start here with the bottom one that's built out nicely. It's the North Alabama support groups. The support group that's active right now in North Alabama is Seeds of Hope. And so they have their events listed for January, February, and March, and those are on our website. One of the things that I noticed that happens is there are groups that meet for a little while and then they don't meet for a little while. So I've left those on the page. Most of these support groups are run by parents who also have children with autism. So sometimes they need a break or a season of rest. And so sometimes they'll have a lot of events all at once, and then they may slow down for a while and then they'll start back up. So I think it's important to show that those things still exist and to be on the watch for them because events could pop up at any time. So we're going to be trying to keep up with the in-person autism support group meetings here on this page. We also have a list of the online support groups in North Alabama. As you're going to notice, most of these are on Facebook. Seeds of Hope also has a Facebook group. So I've kind of linked it here. Being on social media and being in groups for your area for special needs is how I find out about the majority of the resources that I've learned about since I started this job in 2 years. So if I am looking for something and I'm not finding it, I will go to one of these North Alabama groups and I will search the group until I find the information that I need. So I do not have lists of groups for the rest of the state, but they do exist. There are a few groups that are statewide. If you need information on those, I can get those to you. Just reach out and let me know. So let me scroll to a different spot here. I try to keep up with all of the sensory-friendly events that are going on in North Alabama. So recently, the Galaxy of Lights had a sensory hour experience, and that is still on our website. We'll rotate that down to something that's previously happened soon. But AMC Theaters in Florence hosts sensory-friendly films. Catalyst Sports, Chuck E. Cheese has a sensory-sensitive Sunday. Cook's Museum, they have 3 events in the summer. So if you need a quick little vacation, this is a great time to come up from another part of the state. Early Works has sensory-friendly Sundays. Flow in Huntsville, the trampoline park. Sorry, my screen's jumping there. The trampoline park. And then Imagination Place in Gadsden. Sometimes free or reduced admission is available to those with SNAP benefits through Museums for All. And some events are free, but a lot of these events do come with a cost and are not free. So if you have other sensory events, we're happy to add them to the list. Just email us and let us know. In addition, you can email any RAN region and let them know things that are going on in your area. And they will be happy to add it to their listservs, newsletters, things. When you go to these events, you're going to start seeing the same people at these events again and again and get to know them. And that's one of the beauty of going to the events in your area. Research studies can be an interesting way to get connected. Sometimes we have a hard time finding a research study or a resource that we need, and it just doesn't exist. There's nothing out there. So sometimes when I can't find a resource, I will look at the research study list that we have here and I will see what might fit. Generally, I'm looking to match an age and a need. So this one is very interesting. It's a rural autism research study, so you have to live in specific counties to participate. Some of the research studies will help you meet other practitioners, other people doing research, um, and some will pay a stipend. Some of them provide therapy and sometimes even group therapy, so you can get to know other folks. So, for instance, Ease Up helps people with autism thrive emotionally, and they're looking for people aged 10 through 30. So we're going to go to a different part of the website now. The learning online. I'm still working on building this out, but learning online, these are basically going to be a collection of things that you can learn online on your own when you're wanting to learn more. So we've already talked about the summer series, so you're seeing some duplication here, and I apologize, but everybody finds things in different ways, so we have duplication. This is the Alabama Department of Mental Health Regional Autism Network's summer series. Triad up at Vanderbilt, just north of us, produces some really good videos that are 2 minutes, because sometimes you don't have a whole lot of time, but maybe you're wanting to learn a little bit. And then HTRAN is the Hispanic Training and Resource Advocacy Network that was created through a grant with Auburn Rand just a few years ago through a grant, and that information is still online. Right. So I have caregiving resources on here. We did a big caregiving push back in July. And so a lot of the caregiving resources are here. So if caregiving is something that you're struggling with, there's a lot of resources there for you. And then our evaluation matrix. So like I said earlier, when I started working here, there was one single page with options for evaluation. I started looking into, what was available here. And I found some additional resources, and I've got these all situated in this matrix that you can download. As we're scrolling through here, you can see that we have 3 pages. I'm currently in the process of working on blowing this out, and the draft at this point is 11 pages just for North Alabama. So I've included school systems, I've included doctors who are using DSM-5 checklists, and I've included clinics who are using the PAD model. So if those aren't things you're familiar with and you want more information, feel free to email me. I don't want to bird walk and get into that. But since 25% of our inquiries come from people looking for evaluation, to me, it was really important to have all the options available and explained in a really nice format. So if you have any questions about this, because I've created it, I know a lot of the information personally. I talk to the providers to get the information. Feel free to reach out to me. Not all regions have as many resources for evaluation as North Alabama. We happen to be rich with resources for evaluation, even though we still have some major gaps. So not all RAN regions will have a resource such as that. If we're hosting an event, we tend to post it here in the events in addition to on the calendars. So here's some of our most recent events. The last couple things we did was Join Up with USA and provided a workshop about social skills at home. We provided a workshop with ADAP about Medicaid waivers and special education. And I wanted to share this one with you because we are doing this around the state. So if this is something you're interested in, send an email out to your RAN region and let them know, hey, we'd love for you to come to our area. I know here in North Alabama, we're going to be going to Limestone County for sure, possibly Marshall County, and either Franklin, Colbert, or Lawrence County. So we are going to host ADAP in presenting Medicaid waivers, with special education in person. Okay, so that about gets you familiarized with our website. But I wanted you to know where things were and be able to find them. Our care survey is even on here. So if you miss that link while you're in this presentation, there it is. And we're going to do that 3 times today. You go back to our presentation here. All right, so that's our new RAN website. We have been asked a lot for a newsletter. And we focused on a website first because a newsletter would have to be in someone's inbox unless we have a place to put the newsletter. So now we're going to be working on our newsletters in 2026. We'll have a place to put the previous newsletters, but anyone Googling can now find these resources on our website. Okay, so we talked about the North Alabama Community Calendar. If you need a link to that, there it is. The evaluation matrix, the full matrix is available on the RAN website, and I have updates. So if you're looking for something now, feel free to email me. The RAN Instagram page is where we post a lot of information. So you're welcome to visit us there and follow. Not every RAN region will have an Instagram, but some will. I apologize that this is the Region 1 information show. Facebook for UAH RAN in North Alabama. Thing that we put on Instagram goes right on Facebook. So follow one or the other. And then we're going to be sending out a quarterly newsletter. If you would like to get that quarterly newsletter, in addition to periodic event updates, you're welcome to sign up for our newsletter there. Most RAN regions do have a listserv, but how you sign up for them is different for each region. So we're going to dig into some of the other regions. That is the QR code to get to those research studies that I showed you on that tour of the website. So Region 2 at Tuscaloosa. Like I said, each RAN region has a little bit of a different focus in what they do based on the experience and expertise of the people who are working there. So Region 2 tends to host a lot of professional development. They're located close to OTIDE, which is connected to the University in Tuscaloosa, and they are able to help them schedule and produce high quality professional training events. And so this is one of the events that they did this fall. We don't have the flyer yet for 2026, but this will be repeated again in 2026. And it's Project Impact. It's an advanced workshop for evidence-based intervention that supports social communication in autistic children and those with related needs for ages 18 months to 6 years. In Region 3 at USA South of Mobile, they have some really great resources divided out by category and need. So I wanted to share one of those with you. This is Autism Resources for Adults. Sometimes adults can be the hardest group to find a resource for, but they have multiple, maybe 4 or 5 different resource pages with lots of different QR codes and lots of different options for resources. So that is something that you can reach out to Mobile and ask for if you are in that area. So you can ask for their pages with QR codes with resources. Region 4 at Auburn has a Spanish-speaking family navigator. They produce a great newsletter. You can email them to get added to their listserv. Just wanted to feature 1 or 2 things from each region since we all work a little bit uniquely based on our skill sets. Region 5 has a box resource folder online. Region 2 does as well, but I was unable to locate that link, so I can add that for anybody who needs it at a later time. If you scan this QR code, you will be led to the Region 5 box. Region 5 is located in Birmingham, and they have all of these resources available. It's a public folder. You can click through this and look at things that you're interested in that you might need to know. So I noticed one thing here is called the bullying handout. Well, maybe you don't need that right now because you have a 3-year-old. Revisit that, when your child is in a teen stage. Region 5 also has a lot of Spanish resources. So they have a Spanish folder, and this is a Spanish QR code. Okay, they also produce a fantastic newsletter in both English and Spanish, and you can email them to request to be on their listserv. Earlier, I mentioned that RAN was created by the AIACC, and I want to share this information with you because the AIACC meetings are open to the public. They're a great resource to learn what is going on statewide with multiple agencies. So there will be 5 to 7, 8 state agencies, maybe even more. They're collaborating and reporting on what they're working on for people with autism. The AIACC meets quarterly in Montgomery. It's open to the public. I go in person and some other folks go in person, but on occasion I haven't been able to travel there, and I was able to observe or listen via Zoom. The next meeting is coming up on January 26th, 2026. It'll be held at 10 a.m. So if anybody has any questions about that, I've been going to those meetings for a couple of years now. I'd be happy to answer them. Sometimes a resource truly doesn't exist in your area. When that happens, what can we do, especially in a rural area? I want to encourage you to contact your city or county chamber of commerce. Let them know your need. The Chamber of Commerce and the leaders in our towns can be contacted by outside folks, or they can reach out to outside folks to say, hey, we need the service. How can you help us find it? The more people they hear from, the more likely they are to take action. We saw this happen in our region. Madison City was really big on taking in information from families about what they would need, especially when they would move here. So our leaders don't know we need it unless we tell them. So take 5 minutes, send an email, ask, do you know if this exists? Hey, I'm looking for XYZ therapy and I can't find it. I'm having to drive an hour and a half for Birmingham. Let them know that you're doing that. Look outside the box. What else could work? So I'm going to give you an example of looking outside the box. A frequent phone call that I get from families is, hi, I have a 4-year-old and I'm looking for childcare. I can't find a daycare that's working for my child. I will generally make sure that the family knows about the option to utilize the school system's preschool programs for 3 to 5-year-olds. Oftentimes, families do not know that's an option. So they may not know to look outside the box, but a professional helping can help with that. So a way to look outside the box is know all of the things kind of going on, or know resources like RAN, so that you can, say, hey, I've looked for this. I can't find it. I don't think it exists. Can you help me think outside the box? Let people know you're willing to figure out what else might work. Get involved with your state and local leaders. That kind of goes back to number 1. Share the gaps with them. If we don't tell them, they don't know. Decide how far you're willing to drive to access a service. So sometimes a service might only be located in 1 or 2 places throughout the state. And maybe, you decide, okay, we're going to drive there for this service. It can be hard to do for a recurring service, but sometimes for a one-time service. Also, contact that provider that's offering the service in one location and ask them, who else offers this in the state? Do you travel throughout the state? Ask a lot of questions. Basically, be a squeaky wheel. I want to encourage you with resources, that resources can be found everywhere. Once I started paying attention, I find new resources often, almost every single day. It may take a little effort. and you may not have as much time to put into it as I do, since this is my job and I do it every day. So feel free to reach out to people who are subject matter experts like myself, who are collecting those resources every day and finding them out. Once you get plugged in, it's going to get easier. You are going to find out about more things once you kind of open the door and get your foot inside. You'll get kind of pulled on in. Um, it helps to know what you're looking for and what might work. Know what your qualifiers are. Maybe take a piece of paper and write that down. What exactly are you looking for? Maybe you want something church related. Maybe you don't want something church related. Those are all kinds of factors that could help you find a good fit when you're asking for people for help. Be creative and make it work. It may not have been exactly what you were looking for. So perhaps you're looking for respite, and respite is not coming your way. Maybe you could sign up for a 2 times a week art class for children with special needs, and you could at least get 2 hours a week that you could get your grocery shopping or something in to get a little respite. Don't be afraid to encourage people who are providing services to ask for capacity building. So encourage or ask them, hey, here's what we need. How can we work with you to possibly help out our family? So sometimes just by having the conversation and opening it up and collaborating versus going, oh, that doesn't exist. Ask everybody, how can we do this? I appreciate you guys allowing me to share about autism resources today. We would love it if you would review this event. This is the first time we've offered something like this, and I know it was North Alabama heavy. I apologize for that, but North Alabama is what I know. If you need things that are in other parts of the state, reach out. We can help you get connected to them. I told you I was going to share the care survey one more time. Here it is. We really do need people to fill out the survey. So if you could help us out with that, that'd be great. And I think we may be taking some questions in the chat if you have any.
I don't see any questions yet, but if you all have questions, please put them in the chat at this time. We do have several people that we will email that have asked to receive the PowerPoint, as we weren't able to attach it to the meeting since it wasn't at the setup of the meeting. And while y'all are thinking of your questions, I had put a few things in the chat about the Autism Support of Alabama. If you're not familiar with us, please check us out on our website. We offer family grants and scholarships. We send families to camp. We have connect groups. We have a lot going on. Also, we have been doing these webinars for over a year now. And so all of our webinars, if you have missed them and if you're interested in them, can be found on our YouTube page. And so the webinars are free, then we put them on YouTube for free. So you still have access to them. And if you ever see a webinar that you are not able to attend, know that it is going to the YouTube page. Also, we have now pinned those items to the bottom of our website, so you can see them there. You can go there to find them, so you don't have to go onto YouTube. Also, we do have a quarterly newsletter, and then of course we're on Facebook and Instagram, where all of our events and activities are listed. Oh, we have a question, Sarah, asking, do we have permission to share the PowerPoint with their support group?
I think if you feel that it would be helpful for your support group, I'm okay with that. I think anytime we can share information and help people find resources, that'd be great. Make sure that all of it is relevant to them, and if there's something additional you need, feel free to reach out.
We have another question. Any tips for getting help with an IEP for children?
So that is a question that I would need more information on. So I'm assuming that you're looking for information on how to qualify for an IEP. So if you would email that in, there's going to be a lot of different advice on that based on kind of where you are in the process. But the number one tip I have, and this might get a little bit hard to follow, but the Alabama Disabilities Advocacy Program has a manual, and I think I can reach mine real quick, on their website. And it is called, I usually use it almost every day, but I haven't been in my office in a while. I've been traveling a lot. It is called A Right, Not a Favor. My copy has been borrowed. And A Right, Not a Favor has templates in the back. And I think it's page 96. Page 96 of that booklet has a template for how to refer your child for an IEP in the school system. And if you utilize that template and just change out the information and make it personal to you, and you email the school that you're zoned for, and I recommend seeing the central office, because sometimes somebody working at the school level might be on a maternity leave, or might be out on medical leave for some reason. Always just email more than one person when you're doing that. And that should start the clock ticking. They would have a total of 120 days to accept a referral, get permission to evaluate from you, complete the evaluations, and then put a plan into place. So there's a lot more specifics to that, but that's like a little bit of an overview. And I'm going to invite Jenny to add anything to that she would like to.
Absolutely. Actually, one of our programs with the Autism Support of Alabama is our Care Binder. And so the Care Binder has that book in it. And so if you're not familiar with our Care Binder, it's hard to show you guys since being on camera. It's like a trapper keeper. So you see there's a zipper. It's basically a 3-ring binder with a handle. And we give it to you for free. You just go onto the website, download the application for it, and mail it in. But within it, there are tabs that have information for places all over the state of Alabama, resources for you all over the state. I was trying to get it open and get the but that book is in it. Plus, there's a bunch of pamphlets from all over the state. And it's also a way for you to keep yourself organized with your IEP. So keep your IEP in it, keep your doctor's appointments, your doctor's notes in it. But as far as the IEP question, my first thought was ADAP. They are out of Tuscaloosa. And so you can email them and get them to mail you that book. That book also, I think, might be in the public library. And so that's even quicker access for you. But yes, so either, reach out to Sarah or your local RAN, depending on where you live within the state. And like Sarah said, the RANs are, even though they're in different parts of the state, they are, one unit. And you can get questions answered that are, sort of a unilateral question or something regarding, your area.
So while Jenny was talking, I was able to get our slides put in a public place for you guys. And so I'm going to drop that link. If somebody will let me know if they're able to open them, give me just a second. My link isn't cooperating. That way you guys will have the slides right away.
Okay. And then we've also added the link to be able to get the book, A Right, Not a Favor.
So I don't know that the book is actually available right now. I think they're asking everybody to use the online link. They're in the process of updating it, and they're really close. But right now they're not offering the book, and that's been the case for a little while.
Okay.
So I do recommend people go online for that one. But it is a really great book. It's worth printing.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, I almost have this this link ready to drop for the slides. If somebody will just try to open those and let me know if that worked. Oh, looks like lots of us added in the links to Right Not a Fever. Thank you, guys. That's fantastic. Thank you, Miss Gwen. Okay, so Miss Gwen is a counterpart of mine. She works at UAB offices. She's a family navigator, and she's absolutely fantastic. We have a great statewide team, and I'm just really fortunate I get to work with them.
We do. We do have. We're blessed to have the uh, Regional Autism Network in Alabama. We have a Gwen, who is the family navigator in Birmingham, did a this year in 2025. I don't remember what month. It might have been March or April that she did a webinar also regarding, RAN and things going on around the state. So it's definitely well worth looking at.
Oh, I see someone I know typing. Okay, I changed some permissions because I saw that somebody wasn't able to open it and ask for permissions. I had put it in a folder that I have that should be available to the public, but the folder permissions didn't carry over to that specific PDF. So I think I've got that changed now. Thank you guys for your patience while we got that added on. I'm glad we were able to do it within this. Oh, yes, Amy, you're right. APEC is a fantastic resource for IEP information. I tend to refer to APEC first for a lot of issues. And then if APEC isn't able to help, they'll escalate to ADAP. And that generally works really well. I just really love ADAP's template for how to refer for that IEP. I'll share a little bit about my own journey. When we needed an IEP in our household, I referred 4 times before my referral was accepted. And they did not understand that I had a master's degree in early childhood special education. They quickly learned that. And so sometimes you do have to be a little persistent. So not always, but sometimes you do. So now I just start out with that template from ADAP, and there's not any miscommunication. Somebody's asking where the binder is available. Jenny, do you want to share about that?
Yes, so on the Autism Support of Alabama website that I added in the chat, autism-alabama.org. If you go to the heading, go under programs, and you look up Care Binder. So we call those Care Binders. And go on there. It talks about the Care Binders. It gives you a little bit more information and how to access that. We've thrown a lot of information at you guys. It's like drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah,
But that
it was
stuff is
really
in the
fast.
chat.
So there's a whole lot of other things that I wanted to put in it, but I was afraid we would go over our 45 minutes, and we hit 45 minutes right on the dot. So I was really grateful for that. Across the state, we just have a lot of people who really care deeply and are very passionate about what they do. So once you find that caring person that can help you navigate things, and they kind of open up the avenues for you, it really makes a huge difference. So if you're still struggling to find that for you, just hang in there.
And Shanique, my coworker who is on here, has just put in the chat the link to the care binders from our website. Well, all righty. Are there any other questions? Well, I
Jenny,
think
thanks
this is,
again for having me. I really
yeah,
appreciate it.
yes. Well, thank you for joining us. And like I said in the chat, this webinar will be up on YouTube here in the next, couple of day or two, so you can review it again and share it with friends. A lot of great information. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it, and keep your eye out for on social media for our January webinar. And we will, I hope everybody has a happy holiday, and thank you all for joining us. And you have our email, so reach out if you need anything, and I will put our email in the chat box as well. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.